Hello there, everyone. This is Dustin DeBoer. I decided to jump on my Facebook Live here just a few minutes early and see who it is that is all around that is interested in the topic of helping other people excel. It is going to be a fantastic time. I am really looking forward to sharing about all of that and much more. Now, for those of you who wonder why I jumped on early, it's because I'm used to that. I actually love jumping on earlier to actually see who is there and who isn't. And it's fun to actually get into the actual chat session as well to see who it is and what they have to say about the questions and comments and more for the actual webinar that I am going to be presenting. And so I am really looking forward to doing this presentation. It is going to be incredible. I believe that this is actually working. I am going to be going between a couple of different programs to actually make sure that it is working. So give me a second and I will be right back, and I'll be going full tilt to make sure that everything is working correctly for us. So just a second here, you guys. Let me double check. And I believe it is actually working correctly. That part is encouraging to know. Feel free, you guys, to use the comments as well as sharing this if you would really like to. This is why I am coming to you, to literally talk to you about my why in doing this business. And why would I actually want to help families? Why would I actually care enough to actually make a difference at such a time as this? So yes, I will be talking about my why. I also will be talking about the products and services that I have available to everybody that is watching this. I am so excited about the opportunity that I have to actually talk about family well-being through all of this. It is going to be incredible. I am so looking forward to sharing all these points, as well as giving you ideas as to how you can actually live into your divine destiny. Not just something that is my story, because it's my story. I want to help you live your story of significance. It is now 1 o'clock. Thank you for all of you who have actually joined in on the conversation. I am so looking forward to actually having you be a part of this first time ever event. And it is going to be not just an event that I give, but it's something that I am going to be doing for the next whole entire 15, well, not 15 months, because I only have 2 months left of this year, and 12 of next year. So, with all of that in mind, here again is what I am going to be sharing on this webinar with you. 1, I am going to be talking about helping other people excel in faith, family, and freedom, so that you can be a real success on the stage of life that matters most, your front door. I'm going to tell you the why of my business. I'm going to tell you the mission of the business. Or of what I actually love to say is the opportunity to help other people become who they are meant to be. I will do this again through telling you my story and how I came along in my journey. I will also then give you pointers about how to actually work on that type of thing for yourself to help you understand your purpose and your destiny and where you're going, not just as yourself, but as a family unit. I will then also share with you the products and services that I have, as well as my upcoming marketing plan that I've put together. And I am so looking forward to actually doing it for you guys to help you become the people that you are meant to be. But you see, this all starts to happen a long, long time ago. Matter of fact, my name is Dustin DeBoer. I was born on March 10th, 1975. And while being born is definitely important to my story, my divine destiny that was implanted into me much before I was even born is of much greater significance to my story. At the end of 2019, I was actually trying to figure out a word of the year for 2020, and I found myself looking in my mother's journals. And for some, that may not seem significant. But for me, it was another stage of healing, as I had not looked at her journals actually since she had passed away and gone into heaven in 2013. Having seen in her very first journal the following statement: Christmas 1975, a book for my son Dustin to write as I desire, caused me to actually pause and reflect on its meaning. What I settled on was that I had my entire growth journey written out to me from my mother's perspective. Therefore, I took on the word 6-letter word of growth in 2020 as my word of the year. Furthermore, I thought I should really read the first actual paragraph in this journey that my mother had so eloquently written. It states the following: having also hoped to write something for publishing someday, could start this way. It should be fun. At its beginning, my situation is thus: married to a wonderful man named Arnie, mother of a daughter, Melissa, who is nearly 4, and a son who is Dustin, who is 9.5 months. I will write what seems worthy of keepsake. I never knew my mother wanted to be a published author, yet I knew that my word of the year for 2020 was growth. The closest my mom actually ever got to her big audacious dream of being an author was when in 2008 I published my book, Relax, Reflect, and Rejuvenate: The Story of Solid Rock Photography. My mother and I each edited that book 8 times over. 8 times over. I'll tell you, that's a lot of reading of one book. But that book would not be what it is today if it wasn't for my mother's help. I am eternally indebted to her for it. The book is actually dedicated to my parents and my mom's parents. The call to action in that book, and again, remember this was 2008, and I didn't know my mother wanted to be a published author until 2013. Actually, it was into 14 when I actually read more of her journals. Once upon a time. But the fact is, it's written, and the call to action is this: live the life you are called to live and be all that humanity is created to be, so that the world can be a better place to actually be. Now think about that for a minute. Live the life that you are called to live and be all that humanity is created to be. Doing that, my friends, will make the world a better place to live. That was how I worded it in 2008. But what my divine destiny that was implanted in me much before I was even conceived started in August of 2019. But the story actually goes back to a leadership conference that I attend every year, but this one in particular that I'm talking about was in 2012. It was at that conference that I actually, for the first time in my life, ever heard John Maxwell from a stage as he spoke on the 15 invaluable laws of growth. I remember him talking about how he met Kurt Kampmeyer back in the day in the late 1960s, early 70s. And when John and his wife determined that in order for John to be successful at the church there in Hillham, that he needed to buy that growth kit. But it was out of their normal budget expenses. So for several months, they figured out how to save and get by so that John could actually buy his first growth kit. What I knew was that now John is on stage and he's talking about the 15 invaluable laws of growth that he had just written. I knew I needed to get that book. And so I bought the book and I actually pushed myself more and stood in line to wait for John to sign it. Little did I know how that would launch me to my destiny. Fast forward from 2012 to 2018. I actually took a little step closer to my destiny by getting a life coaching certification through the International Life Coaching Federation here locally in the Twin Cities. But that lacked an identity that truly fueled the baby that would burn the engine to significance. That certification gave me a little step closer to my destiny, but it didn't really launch me. Then fast forward into August of 2019. I decided to actually follow a prompting of the Holy Spirit, if you will, a nudging, if you would rather call it that, to pursue a big, hairy, audacious goal: to become a speaker, coach, and trainer and a disc analysis behavior specialist with the John Maxwell team, who specializes in youth, family, and parenting and the disc programs. Fast forward now into January, or the end of December, beginning of January, and living into my growth destiny. I realized I had been through a lot of the course content already on our online platform. I had been through Leadership Gold, Put Your Dreams to the Test, Becoming a Person of Influence, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, How to Be a Real Success, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, Developing the Leader Within You 2.0, Intentional Living, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Lose. Or is it sometimes you learn? Leadership, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions, Developing the Leaders Around You. I also knew that I was really into the youth material of the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. Leading from the Lockers, which is an awesome book for students. That book, when I read it, brought me back to my high school days in many ways. That's a whole nother webinar. But then there's the Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn for teens and for children's content. The I Lead, I Choose. Those programs are from the John Maxwell Foundation that as a youth facilitator, I have access to. I also have access to Youth Max and to Nick Viajek and his ministry programming that he does for youth with the John Maxwell team as well. I had been through all of this. Now I decided it was time to actually develop my focus and actually pursue what it was that is my divine destiny. I borrowed from Napoleon the idea of being a dealer of hope. I borrowed from the American Family Association the idea of faith, family, and freedom. I borrowed from John Maxwell, because I'm licensed to teach the content, on real success. I then borrowed from another family and parenting coach, Drs. Josh and Christy Straub, who talk about the red carpet being the front door of your house. I put it all together and I actually came up with a fraction of my destiny. What I decided then to teach were the principles that I had learned through all of these programs. Additionally, I knew beyond a doubt I could be a speaker of things that mattered most, things of the heart, things that really were deep and passionate, things that would make a real difference, such as number one, relationships, both inside and outside of marriage. Since I'm a Savior Marriage Before It Starts facilitator and coach with Drs. Les and Leslie Parrott, and now I'm also a certified youth, family, parenting, and leadership coach with the John Maxwell team. I knew, having gone through the certification or the coaching certification training taught by Christian Simpson, that you don't just coach the person as they are on the job. You can conduct business with them and you coach them based upon their whole person, who they are at work, who they are at play, and wherever else they may be, because we are all in human relationships. For they are first and foremost, you and I are humans. And you are potentially a son or a daughter, potentially a husband or a wife, a mother or a father, aunt or uncle, niece or nephew. You may be even a grandparent. I want to help everybody know how to build solid relationships with the different personality styles that are out there, whether you use DISC, which I'm trained in by the John Maxwell team, Myers-Briggs, which I'm familiar with, Wired That Way, which I've studied for years, or other assessments. I wanted to help people understand how they receive love and how they give love naturally to other people. I wanted to help them understand the communication patterns between loved ones and others. Furthermore, I wanted to help people understand the fundamentals of all good relationships. I wanted to help people know how to motivate people by knowing the 5 things everyone has in common. I want to teach how to help people have lasting connections with people. I want to teach people why listening skills can be a leader's best friend. I want to inspire other people to understand the crucial factor that the foundation of all good relationships is built on. The second part of my destiny with families is to equip them. Why equip them? John Maxwell actually says, 1 is too small of a number to achieve significance. And how many times have we not heard that teamwork makes the dream work come alive? That is the power of teamwork. Furthermore, I know that success in my life is knowing my purpose, growing to reach my maximum potential, and actually sowing seeds in others of success, because that will actually benefit them. But how can I actually benefit others if I don't seek to become an enlarger of other people? Through investing my time in developing them and equipping them and helping them become who they are meant to become. For there are steps we can take to help those in our groups, in our associations, to become who they are meant to become. If that doesn't sound familiar, once again, yet equipping is not the same as developing them. In the 360-degree leader, John Maxwell states the difference between equipping and developing as follows. When you equip them, you teach them how to do a job. If you show someone how to run a machine or some other device, that's equipping. You already should be providing training to your people so that they know how to do their job. Equipping should be a given. Development is different. When you develop people, you are actually helping them acquire personal skills and qualities that will benefit them in many areas of their life, not just their job or their business. When you help someone develop and cultivate discipline or a positive attitude, that's development. When you teach someone to manage their time better or improve their people skills, that's development. When you teach leadership, that's development. John actually goes on to say that he has found that many leaders actually don't have a developmental mindset. They expect their employees, you, to take care of your own developmental needs on your own. But what these leaders fail to realize is that development always pays a higher dividend than equipping, because it keeps and helps the whole person and lifts them to being a higher person. I will equip people through my coaching business as well as my marketing business. But I will take it one step further, my friends. I will actually seek to develop my team, because I have a divine destiny that has been implanted into my heart much before I was born, that is a burning, blistering desire, and is an image that I will keep before me and that I am holding to tenaciously. Will you let me introduce you to a friend of mine? This individual is one I have known for a number of years. Matter of fact, since about 2006, 2007. And in case you didn't catch it, I actually did introduce you to him already. His name is Will. I know, it's a bad play, a bad pun on words, but you know what? You gotta have a little bit of humor too, right? So smile, laugh a little, joke around a little bit. It won't hurt. Matter of fact, it might help your blood pressure. Oh, that's another story. But anyhow, Will was my right-hand man when in youth ministry down in Austin, Minnesota, where I am originally from. He knew at that point that I was involved with the Amway organization, and he didn't want anything to do with it. Through many stages and changes of life of both of us, we found ourselves here now in the Twin Cities. And over the years, we stayed in loose touch until last year when I decided that I really wanted to reach back out to him and continue to get to know him more. And as we did that, I was also working on beginning to teach the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And I decided that, you know what, since Will and I talk about those type of topics all the time, why not invite him to the actual session? He and the other students came through Zoom, just like we are well aware of in 2020. A couple weeks later, after that session, Will and I and one of his coworkers and my girlfriend, soon-to-be fiance, Shannon, Will found out on that bike ride that I lost 40 pounds of weight in 2 years through the Body Key program. That was of interest to Will. A couple weeks later, he and I jumped on Zoom between the two of us, and I registered him as a customer in my marketing business. But I didn't do that without asking him a very important question. Will, how does this decision actually impact your life goals? Not just for weight nutrition management, but your overall life goals. Through that, I actually have an accountability partner now. And Will and I are in pretty constant contact about how we're doing and how we're thinking and how we're reading the Bible and how we're doing other things. He, as a clinical psychologist, is having value added to him outside of the Body Key program, outside of the excess energy products, outside of a vitamin and food supplement program from Nutrilite, outside of the G&H personal body care line, and outside of the skincare and cosmetic side of things, more so the skincare, obviously, because I've never met a person who doesn't have skin, and I am very grateful that I know many people have skin. It's a great industry to be in. But outside of all of that, I am adding constant value to Will, and he's adding constant value back to me. I asked Will one time after we made this original Zoom session, when we were actually here at my place, and I said to him, Will, why is it now that you are wanting to be a part of it and be a customer and refer people to me? I'll never forget his response. He said, Dustin, your whole entire presentation of it within faith, family, and freedom, and helping other people to excel in those areas so that they can be a real success on the stage of life that matters most, their front door, is something I can personally get behind and support. Now I ask you, how did all of that really come about? It's because I changed my mindset, my attitude, the third part of how to make a real success, and live into my destiny that was implanted in me much before I was actually conceived. We hear it all the time. Have an attitude of gratitude. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Husbands, do you know the love language of your spouse? Do you actually know how they not only receive love, but give love? Do you understand how to then help them with that? What I had to learn is that attitude is the advance of our true selves. Its roots are inward, but its fruits are outward. It is our best friend and our worst enemy. It is more honest and more consistent than our words. It is an outward look based on past experiences. It is a thing which draws people to us or repels them. It is never content until it is expressed. It is the librarian of our past, the speaker of our present, and the prophet of our future. In a nutshell, I had to discover how to touch a heart before I would ask for a hand. I had to learn how to use my level 3 listening skills and actually connect with a fellow human. Through that, I could add value to them, potentially through a service or a product. I am still living this process out. I still have to admit what doesn't work. And in some cases, I have to be willing to actually forgive people and move on because that approach doesn't work. It's either that or I just have to say, oh, well. And not only is that true with customers, with business associates, with coworkers, but it is also true with the person that matters most to me. Her name is Shannon. And for all of those out there who are married, this is true in marriage and family especially, but really important in marriage. John Maxwell stated, holding a grudge is never positive or appropriate. And when unforgiveness occurs between teammates, it certainly hurts the team. John stated that, like I said, in one of his books, and when I put it into my own notes in my iPhone, I added the following. In my family, in my future marriage, in my customers and client relationships, in business team associates, and whatever other relationships that I am engaged in. When I started to forgive more people, things changed. When I began to put away petty jealousy, an attitude that believes everyone should be equally regardless of talent, performance, or impact, my BS. Come on, you guys. This is a family-friendly show. It's my belief system of the achievement of me had to rise to the achievement within me had to rise to actually new heights. It was when the disease of me must be defeated by the rise of the power of us, meaning building up customers not just with products, but also with mental mindset recognition patterns. When I interacted with them through various means, I had to learn how to not take critical messages in my messages. I had to, and still do, have to make the shift when talking with customers, especially to remind myself that it's not about me and it's not about what I've done in the relationship process, but what we've done together. It's not about particular campaigns either. And the reason being is that we are all humans. And I hope that we're trying to actually live our best life, because there's only one chance at life. After that is judgment. And so I want to be a conduit of grace and help people become better. I want to be a river and not a reservoir. When I adopted these things, and trust me, I still have to work on an abundance mindset, especially when it comes to sampling and telling people about what I do. I have to remember that there's more than enough to go around. And when I do that, I know that good things are ahead for me. That is an image that I hold to. I seek to live now to my fourth part of my destiny. The first part was relationships. The second part was actually equipping people in those relationships to have a proper attitude of significance, which is where the fourth part of leadership launches us to. In a mastermind session, in a mastermind session on good leaders ask great questions, founding John Maxwell team member Scott FaIth stated that John originally said, if you cannot lead yourself, everything else is a complete struggle. Oh, how true that is. In a personal development training that Scott did for his industry of professional landscaping, he continued his training with them, reminding them that everything rises and falls on leadership, and that leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. And the hardest person to lead, and one of the highest forms of leadership, is to lead yourself. I hear this all the time. I hope you do too. That if you want to lead in any capacity a team, start with you. How many of you can travel back in time when you've maybe heard a really significant speaker and they're talking about being a part of something, and they describe the character qualities that they're actually looking for people to actually be a part of what they're doing? I've had that experience several times, and with a friend of mine whose name is Rob, he would often talk about the character qualities that we were looking for to be a part of the team that he and I are a part of. And this year, when I actually heard him talk on that topic, I had to ask myself a different question. Since you have a vision, Dustin, a mission, and a cause, and a destiny to live into, are you that type of person? Was I going to be one that would provide hope not just for myself, but for those around me to be that real success on the stage of life that matters most, their front door? But in order for that destiny that I was holding to tenaciously, I had to let the plans be adjusted. And I had to remind myself that I attract people to me based upon who I am. That is the law of magnetism at work. If I wanted a team to do certain things, I had to do them first. I had to be willing to develop relationships that would result in products being moved and services being done, and so much more, to actually be a part of an organization and a team that is going places in the midst of 2020. I had to learn how to do my stuff first. Have I achieved it perfectly? Absolutely not. But to get to the point where I am today, I asked myself 3 R's and 3 questions to get me closer to my destiny. You see, it all started with a vision for growth from my mother's journals. I was on a very intentional path of growth already, but 2020, can we admit that it's just been a different year? But for me personally, it's been one of the best years because of my leadership level has gone to a new level. I had a grand vision again, a destiny implanted into me, if you will, that was rising and was reinvigorating my awareness levels to incredible levels. Yes, I did borrow from others in both the coaching industry as well as the network marketing industry. I looked at my history to actually see what my pathway had been to this point and began to embrace more of my true north. I furthermore had to consider, how was I adding value to customers and business associates, coworkers, and anybody else? And what I ended up asking myself was, number 1, what is required of me to lead a team in any business realm? How can I do it within my situation, my talents, and my abilities, leveraging how I am actually wired to connect with others? I had to furthermore decide on aligning the departure points with the arrival points of the vibrational frequency of thought that is taught in Think and Grow Rich, and bring together my all-consuming desire of helping people excel and be the change agent, if possible, in their life through not just a product, but also through helping with coaching and training and development, which could lead them to being a part of a great community of people who want to help bring out the best in them and do that exceptionally well. I then had to consider my second R. What is the return of that requirement? And I knew my greatest return, and this may sound odd to some people, but it's true, is not in the dollars and cents side of it all, though I won't say no to that. But the greatest return was figuring out how to actually do everything that I needed to do for a greater purpose, a greater cause, a greater mission, a big, hairy, audacious goal if you want to go that route. I had to figure out how to do and move products better this year in the midst of COVID. And it happened. I did it. But was it easy? No. But I did it anyway. The third R of my greatest reward is that my time was now starting to multiply value into the larger teams and groups and associations that I'm a part of. My reward is manifested in that the team knows we must lean into who we are and whose we are. The self-limiting BS, come on again, you guys, it's belief system. Remember, this is a family-friendly thing. Must vibrate to the highest frequency of the universe. That is that the grand overall designer, the creator, the sustainer, the perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured that cross and despised the shame, and now he's set down at the right hand of the throne of God. And he allows us to be used of him as salt and light. Can I just say this? At such a time as this, that is incredibly important. Yes, our Abba Father is coming back to get us. And I look forward to that ultimate glory and ultimate destiny. But until then, I am on a race. I have clearly answered the 3 clues to my why. Number 1, what is it you cry about? The family unit being decimated by a society that doesn't understand a vertical alignment because they have no vision for their own life, let alone a family unit. We can all see how that has worked out since the 1960s. What disturbs you? What is it that inflicts emotional pain on you, that makes you motivated to actually bring healing to the situation? What makes your heart break? What touches you at the depths of your soul? Now, what do you sing about? What makes you happy? What makes this guy happy? What puts that bounce in my step that makes me want to get up in the morning and get going? Let me tell you this quickly. I had a youth ministry internship in southern Minnesota in 1996. 2019, I had a connection request from somebody on LinkedIn who I didn't totally recognize, but what I came to find out was it was a student that I had in my internship who now lived up here in the Twin Cities. He wanted to connect. We did. And then we followed up in person, and he wanted to get together to express his gratitude to me for what I had done for him. Furthermore, he wanted to actually tell me how he's still involved with that ministry down in southern Minnesota, even though he lives up here in the Twin Cities. He then wanted to tell me how he and his family are actively involved with their church ministry as well. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Everything rises and falls on it. The hardest person and one of the highest calling of leadership is to lead yourself. I was so taken by the fact that 20 some years later, a student still wanted to reach out to me and connect to thank me for my influence. What do you dream about? We have often heard it asked, if you had all the resources to do what you wanted to do, how would you chart your days? What if you could do it in a really big fashion and large scale? What if you did something so significant, something that would actually outlive you and be the legs to your legacy? What would it be? I myself am on a race. On October evening in 1968, a group of die-hard marathon spectators remained in Mexico City's Olympic Stadium to see the last finishers of the Olympic marathon. More than an hour before, Mamo Waldi of Ethiopia won the race to the exuberant cheers of the onlookers. But as the crowd watched and waited for that last participant, it was getting cool and dark. It looked as if the last runners were finished, so the remaining spectators started to break up and even leaving when they heard the sounds of sirens and police whistles coming from the marathon gate into the stadium. as everyone watched, one last runner made his way onto the track of that last lap of the 26-mile race. It was Stephen Akwari from Tanzania. He had run the 400-meter circuit, or as he was doing that, I should say, people could see that his leg was bandaged and bleeding, and he had fallen and hurt himself, and he had absolutely no chance of winning the race. But he didn't let it stop him. The people in the stadium rose and applauded until he reached that finish line. As he hobbled his way across, somebody asked him, "Why did you keep running when you had no chance of winning the race?" Stephen Akwari responded back, "My country did not send me to Mexico City to start a race. They sent me to Mexico City to finish the race." My friends and fellow partners, my name is Dustin DeBoer. I was born on March 10th, 1975, and while being born is definitely important to my story and my divine destiny, my dream, if you will, that's implanted in me much before I was even born or even conceived, is of much greater significance. While I've held tenaciously to a destiny over the years, the plans have had to change. But what was given to me at the beginning of this year as the word of the year for 2020, that 6-letter word, do you remember it? I've said it many times. It's growth. And what made the change in me to not just be where I'm at in my business development, but to take this anywhere that I want, is that I want to build a team that helps other people excel in faith, family, and freedom, so they can be a real success on the stage of life that matters most, their front door. Here is to living towards that destiny, a race that truly doesn't end. Do you remember when I talked about my friend Will and how he embraced what I was doing now versus then, back in 2007, 6 and 7, because of how everything now for me fits within the idea of helping other people excel in faith first, knowing who you are and whose you are makes all the difference in the world. And that vertical alignment transforms a person. But the fact of the matter is, it takes faith to do anything. I don't care what it is. If for this chair that I'm sitting in, I had to put my whole faith in it and sit on it. And knowing that it would actually hold me. I couldn't just believe that it would hold me and not sit on it, because I've never proved it if I didn't sit on it, which I've sat on this one for a number of years. But the fact of the matter is, it takes faith to drive a car. It takes faith to get up in the morning and put your feet under you, saying that I can do something. I work with students on that all the time. Instead of saying I can't, say what can I do and how can I do it today? Because today matters. That's another book by John Maxwell that I have yet to read this year. But understanding what faith is and how to actually then take it to the family well-being spectrum. And understand how that works out through relationships, husband, wife, mom, son, daddy, daughter, and understanding how to equip people in that, how to have proper attitudes in that, how to have proper leadership in that. That's what I'm talking about for the whole entire next year through my webinars. And I am so excited about it. I'm going to do more webinars yet this year in November and December. I also have different challenges, online challenges that you can all participate in, especially if you join my Grow 365 group, which is a private group that I've established where we can actually dialogue more to actually engage in different conversations. Furthermore, if you want to know about that, put it in the chat section, put it in the messages, and I will be following up with whoever either direct messages me or who puts in a message in the chat section. There is absolutely no doubt about it that I am looking to actually help other people truly excel in faith, family, and more. I also have a whole line of products that can help with vitamins and supplements and food, nutrition. I actually have a whole entire sports line, health management. I also have a core line of products for skincare and cosmetics that are incredible, that can help with family, because if we don't take care of our bodies, what are we going to have? I also have a great line of home care products, as well as personal care products for every type of part of our bodies, per se. And it's amazing when you actually use things that are good and solid and nutritious and proper for the family, how you actually can start solving things. I also look to help families develop financial freedom. And once you start talking about financial freedom, you actually start talking about many other types of freedom, because it starts peeling the onion layers of helping people to have relationships, how to equip them, how to have a proper attitude, and how to lead. I hope that you really have understood a few things from this presentation. I've enjoyed presenting it, and it's available for anybody to take a look at. And the fact of the matter is, you matter a great deal. Thank you for spending this time with me. And I am so excited to actually not only be doing the challenges for adults, but also for youth. I'm planning on doing marriage conferences, per se, with area churches and other nonprofits next year. And I'm actually networking already with other churches to figure that part out. I also would love it if you would be willing to introduce me to any youth organizations that you think could actually have a speaker come in and do youth leadership, whether that be in a church, whether it's another nonprofit, or whether it's a school. I have many different options that I can still use my teaching skills to work with youth. I also have a whole entire parenting program established and ready to roll, as well as I'm developing other parts of it for next year. Besides the challenges, the webinars, I'm also going to do referral programs and the youth programming. I'm going to do a bunch of masterminds and just have a whole offering of things for people to actually grow and become who they are meant to become. Keep following my Facebook page. And like I said, if you want to check out the Grow 365 group, let me know. Send me a private message and I will gladly get that to you. Thank you again for being a part of today's session. I hope that you've actually taken a few nuggets out of it for yourself. Perhaps the 3 R's, perhaps the 3 questions, perhaps the 6 or 7 things that I listed off about relationships that you'd like more information on, or about equipping other people. How about your attitude of gratitude? Husbands, do you know your love languages? Wives, do you know them? Kids, there's actually so many other topics around even love languages. Do you know where you're going? What's your personal vision? What's your family vision? If you don't have vision, people perish. Again, I can help with all of those things. Thank you again for being a part of this. If you do have any questions, feel free to put them as a direct message to me or put them in the comments to this video. Let me check and see if there are any questions over here on the other side of the spectrum, just to see if there are people that are asking questions. Tom, it looks like you're on, and also Anne. Thank you for being on, you guys. And if you do have any other questions, anybody, like I say, please put them in the comments section. I would love to know you more and to get to be able to help you. If there's anything I can do, let me know. You're awesome. You've got a destiny. If I can help you with it and live into that and help you develop the legs to your legacy, or help you with family well-being, let me know. Thanks, you guys. We'll talk to you later.